Hi guys, I'm here. I'm going to talk about chapter 1. This is really easy. If you've read the book, this is simply going to be review. The assignment that you have for this week, of course, this is the first week 1 of the semester, corresponds with chapters 1 and 2. And again, read over the book. It's really easy. It's really user-friendly. And you will do really well on this assignment, I promise. First thing, though, is public speaking. Obviously, that's what the class is about. And this is something that even if you don't go into teaching, which obviously is a form of public speaking, or if you're not a lawyer who speaks in court frequently, or whatever it is that you do, you're probably going to have to give some sort of public speech. Maybe you'll go into sales. In business, you'll have to speak publicly. Even just giving small talks to even small groups of people can be considered public speaking. Maybe you'll give a wedding toast one day, or give a speech in graduate school, or anything you do. Learning how to speak properly in public is a really, really great skill. So even if you think, well, I'm not going into a career that I'll have to give speeches frequently. Well, first of all, you never know. You might have to. And second of all, just in life in general, there probably will be some time that you do have to give a public speech. So this chapter talks about some of the differences between public speaking and conversation. Obviously, in a conversation, we talk faster, we mumble a little bit, we don't really organize our thoughts a lot of times. We just talk without a lot of pre-planning. We don't really pay too much attention to our posture. We don't need notes. Our language is usually pretty informal. Public speaking, though, we need to have much more polished practice, organization. We have to know the audience that we're speaking to, tailor that message to them, and then adapt to feedback, which means if everyone's falling asleep while you're speaking, that's some feedback, pretty strong feedback that you need to do something a little bit different. Now, don't think having stage fright makes you abnormal, because I can guarantee everyone has it. It's totally normal. And they show this picture of Adele because she has it. She has said that, and she is kind of awkward when speaking live. If you've ever seen her, she's very charming, but she's really not the most polished speaker. There are several performers who get stage fright. I can think of a few off the top of my head that don't tour because they're scared of performing. So you're certainly totally normal to have some stage fright, but learning how to kind of manage that, and by practicing a lot, you'll start to be able to kind of live with it more. It's never totally going to go away, and that's okay. So I think that personally, the best thing you can do would be to speak and speak often. In my COMS 309 class, which I teach, we give about 7 or 8 speeches throughout the semester, and that really helps the students get comfortable. So by doing it a lot, that's going to help you reduce your anxiety. And then, of course, you need to prepare. The more you prepare, the more comfortable you will be with that speech. And you can just take a deep breath when it's time to deliver and just be confident that you do know what you're talking about. And of course, being positive, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get up there, I'm going to bomb, it's going to be horrible. That's not really a good way to go into it. You want to think, okay, I got this, I practice, I know what I'm talking about. And even if you mess up a little bit, who cares, right? And know that most nervousness really isn't visible. You might be shaking in your boots, but guarantee the audience isn't going to see it. Don't need to tell them either. I've had students come up and say, I'm really nervous right now. Well, you didn't look nervous. So if you didn't tell us that, we might not know. And of course, don't expect perfection. No one's perfect. Not even President Obama, who I think is a fabulous public speaker. No one is perfect. No such thing. So again, it's in some ways it's a little beneficial, I think, to be a little nervous. It's going to give you that anxiety. You'll feel the blood pumping. Everything's going to be ready for you to go. So you're never going to be completely calm. A little bit of nervousness is okay. Nothing wrong with that. Visualization. I personally don't do this very much, but it might help you to just kind of, maybe while you're practicing or shortly before you speak, just to kind of sit down and close your eyes and just imagine yourself standing in front of a group of people giving a really great speech. Critical thinking. Something you're going to have to do as you organize your notes. And when you write a speech. Of course, you're focused, you're organized. Unlike casual conversation, we're going to think a little more critically when we give a speech. So it's involving relationships between ideas, differences between fact and opinion, which you will have both in your speeches. We're going to be doing some speeches which are more fact-based, like the informative, and then more opinion, which comes at the end of the semester, for persuasive. Now, this you may have had in high school or something, but the communication process, it's pretty easy. You have the speaker, that would be you, the message. What is it that you are trying to convey to an audience? The channel, is it live? Is it through video? Is it through audio? So my channel here is through YouTube or video or audio, I suppose I should say. The listener would be you. You guys are listening to me. If I'm the speaker, you're the listener. And unfortunately, now I'm not in front of you. I can't tell by your feedback. Now, if I was standing in front of you in the classroom, I could get your feedback. How many of you are on your phone? How many of you are falling asleep? So really not a lot of feedback when it's a recorded situation. Interference is anything that interferes with the communication process. Like, let's say the internet goes out. Then that interferes with the message I'm trying to give. And of course, the situation we're in is you're taking an online class and you're all watching this at different times, and I don't get feedback. And hopefully there's no interference with the internet connection. So there's kind of a diagram. You can visualize what I just said. So the interference can be, let's see, a classmate distracting you if you were in class, or like I said, the internet goes down, or if you're listening to the radio old school, a bunch of static, anything like that can be considered interference. Frame of reference, it kind of is your experiences. When you speak from your frame of reference, you only know what you know. So you're speaking from your own frame of reference, from your experiences, your values. And on the flip side, your audience is filtering your message through their frame of reference. So just keep that in mind. Not everyone has the same experiences, attitudes, values. So one message can be interpreted very differently by different audience members. So I could be saying this, giving the same speech, delivering the same message, and two people could be interpreting that very differently. So keep that in mind, that we're all speaking from our own experiences and we're all listening from our own experiences. Kind of going along with that would be ethnocentrism, which is believing one group or culture is superior to all other groups or cultures. Hopefully this is something we don't have. And if we do have it, we work to try to overcome that, because I believe that we're all equal. Not one group, not one culture is superior to another. And again, when you write and deliver a speech, you have to remember that everyone is coming from a different place, experiences, and no one is better than anyone else or superior to anyone else. So avoiding this is by respecting listeners' cultural values, knowing that they may have a different take or opinion or experience than you. And then you imagine yourself in place of the listener. How would you interpret what you are saying? And then be alert to feedback. If people look offended or angry, that's going to tell you maybe that you're being a little ethnocentric and need to kind of change the message that you are delivering. So that is chapter 1. Pretty straightforward. You'll see from the assignment that covers what that's chapter 1 again. I'm going to go right into chapter 2. This is going to talk about ethics. Now, you probably had ethics. It's a very, very umbrella term for a lot of different things, but basically it deals with right and wrong, dealing with human affairs. So there's medical ethics, media ethics. I work in journalism. Media ethics would be, let's say, writing a review. Let's say I had a family that owned a restaurant and I was going to write a review of it, giving it really great, saying it was the best food I've ever had. That's unethical if it's my family. So ethics can be applied to a myriad of different things. So in public speaking, you're going to think about what it is you're going to do against ethical standards. Is what I'm saying right or wrong? Or is what I'm doing right or wrong? Guidelines for ethical speaking. Well, this kind of is obvious. You certainly don't want to call names or use language that can be offensive to any individual or group of people. I think that kind of goes without saying. I do want to mention plagiarism, though, and they do obviously bring this up in this chapter, is something I take very seriously as a journalist and a teacher, and NIU does as well. So plagiarizing would be to go and print off a speech off the internet and deliver it and say you wrote it when it clearly was nothing that you wrote. So it's presenting someone's ideas or language as your own. So if I were to write a story about something, if I completely copied someone else's story and didn't give them credit, that's plagiarism. It's a very serious offense. Just FYI, don't do it, and I don't want to catch you doing it. A couple different types of plagiarism, and I think this is on the assignment. The first is basically taking a piece of work, a speech, an article, a research paper, and just erasing the original author's name, putting your name on it, and passing it off as your own. So you're taking like one source and saying, I wrote this, or I did this, and it's clearly not your work. Patchwork plagiarism would be taking the exact words or ideas from a couple different sources. Like, let's say I'm going to steal some words from this speech, and then I'm going to take some words or paragraphs from that speech and combine them into one speech, yet none of it is my own ideas or words. So that's why it's called patchwork, because you're taking different sources that aren't yours and combining them and passing them off as yours. Incremental. Now this is not giving credit. And it's okay to use other people's quotes or thoughts or ideas. You can do that. You just need to give them credit. And I'm not talking about plagiarizing the whole speech. So you can say, according to Jane Doe, climate change is a very real phenomenon and it is happening. Now, you can't say that, or that's maybe not the best example, but anytime that you use someone else's words, you need to cite, C-I-T-E, give them credit. Tell me where you got this quote or this paragraph. You need to give credit for anything you borrow that is not your idea or thought. And you are going to use internet, no doubt. So again, you need to cite your sources. Where are you getting this information from? You're going to need to include that in your speech outline, and then you're going to say that in your speech. Now, obviously, you don't want the whole speech to be quotes from other people, cited or not, but you are going to be using information you find online or from a textbook or from wherever. Just tell me where you got that information. What is the source? Is it WebMD? Is it a presentation by the FDA or the CDC or anything like that? But you need to tell me where you got that information. And then ethical listening. Again, as you're listening to that person, think about where they're coming from and how that affects their message. And then your own experiences. How are you interpreting their message? Now, I quickly just went over these. Read the book. Take the exercises that you should have access to through Connect. They are all on Blackboard. Let's see. Oh, it's been a while. I got to log back in here. I'm going to show you where to go for your exercise. Sorry. All right, so when you get to Blackboard on this page, go to Assessments. And here you'll see chapters 1 and 2. And you should be able to get here. Your view may look a little different. But what I just covered is directly from the book. It was their PowerPoints, and there is the assignment. I don't think it's going to take you 40 minutes. It may, but I think you'll be done quicker than that. Again, you can kind of do a read here, read the actual textbook if you have it, but review it. Take this, and then I will be back in another week or so with another video. So this week, this is all we're doing, chapters 1 and 2. So I'll talk to you again soon.